Hello, my name is Allysun Rapp, and I'm joined here today by my mother. Mom, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Mary Jo Rapp. My birth name is Maria Jose Gallart.
Okay, Mom. When and where were you born?
I was born in the Azores. It's a set of islands off the coast of Portugal, and we come from a little area called Fayal.
Okay, do you know why your parents picked the name they did for you?
They picked my name because it's a very religious community, and they're very Catholic. And I happened to be born on St. Joseph's Day, which is a big holiday there. So they put Joseph or Jose in my name, so I became Maria Jose.
And why did they decide to come here to America, specifically California?
Okay, what happened was back in 1957, I believe it was, there was a volcanic eruption which destroyed many homes, including ours. And so there was weeks of earthquakes, and of course lava destroyed lots of things. So we became homeless. And at the time, I believe John F. Kennedy was a senator at the time. Him and another senator had the Zorian Refugee Act, and they allowed so many of us to come over to the United States. And we happened to have some friends in California, specifically Tracy, so that's how we came out in California specifically.
Okay, now for you, you had all of your formal education in America, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, how was that experience for you, growing up in a non-English speaking household? And was there like an immersion program at all for you, or did you just have to go in and learn it?
At that time, my father was on a dairy.
Okay.
We went to school in a little country school in Tracy, and they didn't have any extra help for us kids who didn't know how to speak English well. I think it was more difficult for my oldest sister. She was the first one. By the time I got into first grade, I knew some English. I think it was easier for me. But we never had anybody at home to help with homework, any difficulties we had at school. We were kind of on our own.
What accomplishments are you most proud of throughout your entire life, either when you were 3 years old in Portugal, or being here in America, or even just coming to America?
Obviously learning the language, getting through school, doing fairly well. And I didn't go all through college, but I did get a degree at Las Positas. So I thought that was kind of a huge accomplishment for my family, because I was the first one to do that.
Were you the only one to do that?
To date, yes.
You mentioned that you celebrate St. Joseph's Day?
Yes.
In Portugal. What other holidays did you find celebrated either differently or that we just don't have at all here in America as compared to Portugal?
I think the biggest difference is they do celebrate a lot of the saints. Saints are big there. We didn't have Santa Claus. As far as Christmas goes, we had Jesus would bring our gifts to us instead of Santa. It was the baby Jesus who would give us our gifts.
Okay. It's kind of cute. How did you feel about Santa Claus when you
Once
came
I came here, I was very excited.
And then one more question for you: how was being raised in the U.S. with non-speaking parents? What are some pros? Do you think some cons? Difficulties you had to face?
Probably the hardest part that I recall growing up was we were children. Parents who couldn't speak English, we had to speak for them all the time. To take them to the doctors, we had to go along and translate for them. Anything that had to be done for as insurances, they had to read, and basically we were their voices for them. And it was not easy as a child to act like an adult and have adult responsibilities in some ways. So that was probably the negatives. And the pluses, I guess, because we could talk and they would know what we're talking about.
Okay, well, thank you, Mom. That's all the time we have for today.
You're welcome.
Should we take hands?
How about a hug?
Bye, okay.
Hi, We just heard from my mom, an Azorean Portuguese immigrant coming from the island of Fayal to Tracy, California in the year 1957. Now, everybody has their own immigrant experience. Obviously, my mom's story of immigration is very different from some of the stories that we've learned about during this class. The first and most obvious example would be my mom's appearance. She came to this country light-skinned and already looking the part, whereas somebody from a South American country might come here, be dark-skinned, and people may automatically judge them based on their appearance. The other thing is that my mom came as a whole with her family, meaning that they had each other for support and that they didn't feel very alone, and then they came here without much legal trouble as well, because the Azorean Refugee Act was designed to bring them over here. But there are also a lot of similarities between the experience that my mom had immigrating to this country and the ones that we've watched in the movies in this class. For example, my family moved to America because of bad circumstances back in the Azores, the volcano that erupted and destroyed not only my mom's home, but their entire town. The other thing is that my mom changed her name from Maria Jose to Mary Jo, so that it would sound more American, and that way she could more easily assimilate into the culture here. The other thing is that there was a language barrier, and although my mom and her 7 other siblings were able to learn the language very quickly, very easily, her parents were not as lucky there. So the children had to go and translate for them, and my mom described it as feeling like they had to take on adult responsibilities at a very young age, which kind of, took a toll on their childhood experience. The other thing is that their religion at home focused very largely on saints, and as we've seen in a lot of these movies, other countries commonly focus on the saints, and then you come here to America and we focus on Jesus Christ more often than not. The other thing that's very similar is that my mom had to learn different holidays or different versions of holidays. For example, she was born on St. Joseph's Day, which is basically their version of St. Patrick's Day, but actually it occurs 2 days earlier. It's March 17th. So when she came here, nobody knew what the name Mary Jo meant or what the significance of the Jo part of her name meant. The other example would be at Christmas. Instead of having Santa Claus come, they had baby Jesus come. So I would imagine it was crazy for them to learn that, we don't have baby Jesus here in America, we have Santa Claus instead. So, that's obviously something I'm sure that other cultures have to adjust to as well, as our holidays and our traditions. And realistically, I think that there are way more similarities between my mom's experience and a Mexican immigrant's experience than there are differences. So, that's it.